Hello fellow YouTubers. Now, when I first started motorhoming, I did a few daft things. Like I would drive off, leave the site, and I'd have my TV aerial up. Or I'd leave the step behind that I used to carry. And I nearly drove off once or twice with the hookup cable plugged in. And I'd do things like leave the fridge on with its gas running. I've even left the gas heater on. I've left the window open, I've had roof vent left open. So I soon realised that the only way to avoid a calamity was to have a little checklist before I left. And in the sun visor that pulls down on the windscreen, I had a little set of notes that was in there, and it was just like a list of things to do. It's changed a lot over the years because obviously I don't carry a step anymore, for one thing, and I've added a few things and so on. So I just go through what I do and what's on my list. I say list, I don't have the list anymore because after doing it for so long I don't need to check the list, but I do go through the same sort of routine each time. So I'll just go through that with you. It might be helpful, it might be really straightforward and obvious, but you know, if it is helpful, great. If not, fair enough. So starting from the back of the van, I always put the blinds down because I always think, well, I don't know where, I don't know who's going to walk past the van when I parked up, wherever I'm going next. So often I'm going to the shops or somewhere like that when I'm travelling. So that's something I always do. I move any cups and put the cup holders up. I then turn off the heater. Over by the stove, I always put the kettle away in the cupboard. Make sure the grill has a tea towel between its components, its rack and its pan, or whatever you call them. There's a silicone pad under there that the grill pan sits on, and that stops it from flying out when I'm driving. I always put this board away that sticks down there to the velcro on the side of that unit, and the chopping board goes there as well, otherwise that comes loose. I move anything that's out sort of on the side because it won't stay there, so anything like this gets moved, put away. I try and keep the sink empty, but sometimes there are some dishes in there when I'm travelling. We don't move around too much. I fasten these doors with this tie here because these have a tendency to come open, so that goes on there, that bungee tie. In here I put the TV aerial down and switch off the booster there at the back. And the fridge, I always lock it, and then I put this bungee cord across it because it has opened from time to time. That's not the most reliable. So that's that. Then in the bathroom, I just make sure that the roof vent's shut, and I always lock this door with a penny. There you go, a penny sits there, and that stops that from opening when I'm driving, because it has done in the past previously. And so also in here I make sure this roof vent's down here. And then in the cab, this is something I started doing. If I plug into mains electricity, which I am at the moment, I'll put this round the steering wheel, and that it just stops me from driving off without unplugging the mains cable that you can see in the mirror there. So have before now not bothered putting anything there, but I've nearly driven off with the cable attached. And if you just put that on the seat, it's easy just to move it across when you're sitting in the cab and forget about it. So I always pop that over there, and that does the trick. Now this isn't a massive deal, but it's something I do because otherwise I find that I lose these things because they'll fly around all over the place. I've got a little controller for the lights, for the colour lights in the lounge area, and yeah, that's gone down the side of the seat before now, so there's a bit of Velcro on the back, and I just stick it there. Also got an extra one here, so I always stick them in place. And then the TV remote, yes, it's sort of flown around the place a bit, so in the past, so again I've got Velcro on those, and I just stick those in place. And then whenever I turn up or back to where I'm going, you know, staying, TV control's always in the right place, and so is the light controller. So I can't think of anything else that I'd do. As I say, I did have a list originally which I would suggest doing, but now, because I've done it so many times, I don't tend to forget many of these things now when I'm leaving, with the exception of I would forget about the mains plug-in because I don't use it that often. So I hope that was helpful to somebody, and thanks for watching.